Hi, I'm Max.
Hi, and I'm Denise.
And welcome back to another edition of Urban Lifestyles. And as always, we've got a great show planned.
You say that every week. It's a great show.
And you know why I say it? Because every week we have
There's
a great
a reason.
Right,
This is great.
We have a great show planned. Some of the things we're going to be talking about today is an interview that you did with MSD.
Oh, yeah, about the workforce convening, but we'll get to that later.
Right. And we also did a segment with LG&E. Of course, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are out there trying to scam folks, and some tips to keep that from happening to you. We also went out to Middletown Cyclery. A lot of people today are getting into biking. Of course, we've made the investment as well, and some tips that you should know before you break your bike out for this summer. We're going to also do a small tribute to Woody Porter, and also the Derby City Jazz Festival is coming up. We'll take a quick break and back with more right after this.
We're more than an energy company.
We are mothers,
Fathers,
neighbors, and friends.
Working hard when the weather is good.
And even harder when it's not.
with online updates to keep you safe and informed during the storm.
Programs to save you energy and money.
And new projects to help us provide cleaner, more reliable energy.
We're more than an energy company.
We are LG&E.
We're LG&E.
We are LG&E.
Our energies go to serving you.
The Derby City Jazz Festival happens August 10th and 11th at the Iroquois Amphitheater. We'll be doing it in the park with Pieces of a Dream, Marion Meadows, Adam Hartley, Lindsay Webster, Julian Vaughn, and more. And for the ladies on Saturday morning, it's Fabulous and Fit After 50, a women's empowerment brunch with national fitness expert Donna Richardson and a women's panel. For ticket information, go to derbycityjazzfest.com, Better Days Record, or Iroquois Amphitheater. The Ville's got its swag back. You went to the Workforce Convening Conference that was sponsored by MSD, so tease that for us.
Basically, I call it a convention, but convening with a lot of thought leaders from a lot of different organizations across the nation. But the main purpose of it was to increase the workforce, and I would say a word in there is minority and inclusivity. So let's just take a look at some of the interviews. We're here for an important convention that's here in Louisville, around the workforce convening, looking at infrastructures for, I would say, that's going to impact Louisville's vulnerable communities. One of the great participants in this convention is going to be Mr. Ferdinand Briscoe, the CEO and Executive Director of TARC. And Ferdinand, welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
There might be some people that say, what is TARC, just in case it's outside the realm of Louisville, so you can explain TARC.
Sure. We are the Transit Authority of River City, and we are the regional mobility solutions provider. We provide the transit service for the region.
What are some of the important aspects of this convention that you find that stand out for you?
We really believe that mobility and mobility service is really about workforce development and economic development. So it was really important for us to be involved, and we thank MSD for the invitation to participate. Well, I think rapidly that we invite more of our partners to the table, and so that we can know and understand that it's not just about MSD, but infrastructure as a whole. And so MSD has been visionary enough under Tony Parrott's leadership to know and understand that it's not just MSD, but infrastructure. So Louisville Water, the Transit Authority of River City, the Urban League is involved as well. And so how do we protect the entire community here in Louisville?
Other people are attending the convention. I want to introduce you to the esteemed Ms. Ellen Hassan, our Deputy Mayor of Louisville. Ellen, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
This convention, I would like to say, the convening around the workforce infrastructures. What is it that stands out to you about this convention that's so important, especially how it's going to impact Louisville?
Well, I'm just thrilled with the partnership we have with MSD and their innovative, creative ways to try to tackle our really pressing needs for our aging infrastructure and our need for workforce development, and how we also focus as we're growing our workforce and tackling our infrastructure on equity and a sustainable workforce for the future.
One of the things that stood out to me was a phrase that said about the vulnerable communities. Can you speak to that?
Well, one of Mayor Fisher's goals is that every citizen of Louisville has the same opportunities, and we want to make sure as we invest in our critical infrastructure and in training our new workforce that we are considering our most vulnerable communities as we make those investments.
So, on this committee with the water works, we have another esteemed member on this task force, I must say, and this is going to be the president and the CEO of the Louisville Urban League, Ms. Sadiqa Reynolds and Sadiqa Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You know, one of your remarks were so great and energizing. You said something that caught my attention, that being on this task force has been like an eye-opener for you. Speak to that a little bit.
Well, I think there are so many of us who are siloed working on the issues we're working on, and we take some things for granted. Obviously, the Urban League, with our focus being jobs, justice, education, health, and housing, we're focused keenly on the workforce part of that. But sometimes I think we're not paying enough attention to the water issues. And when you think about the water problems that we've had in other parts of the country, even in Kentucky, clean water is not something to be taken for granted. I think that Tony's right. If you look at life expectancy rates still being able to be determined by zip code, and think about what that means as it relates to access, and so water is a part of that, and clean water really does matter. And so more of us really need to be paying attention on a regular basis so that we can move our country forward in a way that makes sense and in a way that is inclusive. And hopefully we get to the place someday where zip code does not determine how long you live.
I know one of the part of the initiative of this roadmap is that it's about the inclusivity and for work opportunity, and I know that probably goes into your area.
Oh, absolutely. We are so proud of MSD and the numbers that they have been able to produce on the workforce side as it relates to like the Shawnee Basin. Tony Parrott was a smart hire. He is a man who is really committed to making sure that the West End and that all of Louisville really does feel included, and that we move ourselves towards equity. So you think about 35% minority inclusion in that project. You think about the 83% local inclusion in the project. It is pretty impressive. And as I said, I'm really proud of the Urban League being able to be at the table and helping to sort of support him and back him up on that.
So as I spoke earlier of this important convention here, and it is cited as the first ever water equity roadmap, at the helm of this is the executive director of the Louisville MSD, Mr. Tony Parrott. And Tony, once again, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
One of the things, as you were going over your remarks, I just want to touch on that caught me is, first you said, we can't have a conversation around equity until we recognize the inequities. Speak to that.
Well, basically, everybody, they always want to question when we bring up the topic of equity. The only reason we bring up equity is because that there is identified data that says there is inequity in our community, particularly in communities of color and communities where normally there's been under representation in terms of our contracting. So first you got to recognize that there is inequity, but inequity is a part of a larger problem that we have in our city.
So you all peeled back what I call a lot of layers, and there's a lot that's to cover, but one of the things that struck me was about the 2018 Brookings Institute study. So it sounds like a lot of it came out of that. Will you touch on that?
Sure. As a part of our first convening last year, we partnered with the Brookings Institute, and they did a study of utilities to look at the state of our workforce. And what we found is that over the next 10-year period, that approximately 45% of the workers inside public utilities are going to be eligible to retire. So that created an issue of, okay, what are the skill craft areas that need to be filled? And then what are the demographics of folks within our organization that we should be recruiting, whether they are folks that are under the age of 35, or whether they are more females, or whether there are more African Americans or Hispanics. And so that Brookings report gave us sort of foundational data that would help us strategize and work to come up with the equity roadmap.
Well, that was definitely something that's very empowering and enriching, not only for the community, but, when you look at it just across the globe. This is something that definitely needs to happen.
Yeah, and then you think in case of water, MSD's role in it, Louisville Water Company, even from on the Alliance for Water, it's just a lot of things going on in these communities and the lifestyle and things that we take for granted, but we have people sitting at the table, with the Urban League included as well, where this is going to be a big difference. And again, I love the key word, inclusivity.
Right, and again, it's about bringing more people across the spectrum involved, and again, just increasing opportunities for people across the board as well.
Inclusivity. Everybody is going to be inclusive, not exclusive.
That's right, and one person that you missed from that is Tark, was also a part of that board as well. We'll take another break and back with more right after this.
Number one station for R&B. Magic 101.3. Me that green light. With your permission. We're live, local, and Louisville. Magic 101.3, the home of Steve Harvey and Morning Show.
Well, you know, every month we do a segment not only with MSD but with LG&E, and so I got an opportunity to go and talk to Liz Pratt from LG&E, and we're talking about something that happens sometimes far too regular, and it's about people being scammed. So take a look at this piece. But I'm here for another segment of Energy Matters with our partner LG&E and Liz Pratt. Once again, welcome back to Urban Lifestyles.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad that you're here, and this time we're talking about something that's very unfortunate, but it's one of those things that's just part of our culture, which is people out trying to scam those that are sometimes less fortunate. So I know that those things are happening in and out of the community, and I know that LG&E has a plan to try to prevent those things from happening. So share some of that information with us.
Yes, unfortunately, scammers, their attempts to contact consumers are continually evolving. So we at LG&E, we offer tips of ways to help our customers both identify a potential scam and also tips to avoid from becoming a victim.
So what are some quick and easy tips that you can offer?
Well, the first tip is to remain vigilant and recognize the signs of a potential scam. That could be somebody who contacts you directly, whether that's by phone, by email, or by a letter, claiming to be LG&E, and they are demanding immediate payment. And something that they may also demand is paying through a prepaid card. And so those signs right there should be a red flag to a customer, because as part of our safe tips, the first tip that we offer is to always secure your personal information. We will never contact customers directly and demand personal information or credit card information over the phone, and never asking you to pay by a prepaid card.
And that's great information, because a lot of times when scammers do call, that's what they're asking for. What's something else that we should look out for?
Another thing to consider is if you are contacted and you've become suspicious, stop and contact us directly. We will always confirm if the way that you've received information or something that you're being asked to do, we will always confirm if that is an official company communication. There are sometimes legitimate service-related reasons why somebody from the company may need to enter your home. However, if that's the case, we will never ask for payment on the spot or demand payment with someone saying that if you don't pay, we will disconnect your service. That is not something that the company will do.
So one thing that they can always do, just to be sure, is to always just call you all directly and get some further information.
Absolutely. Always contact us directly. Know that you have official payment options available to you, and to also just confirm if you are suspicious for any reason, give us a call, let us know, and we'll confirm if that was an official communication.
Okay, and another point.
Yeah. We also encourage someone, if they have been contacted by a potential scam, or they feel like someone contacted them and they're suspicious and somebody was asking them or demanding payment, to contact us, contact the company, but also report that to your local law enforcement agency. That's something that they would want to know as well. If you can also share any pertinent details, such as if they've contacted you by phone, if you have a phone number that they called you from. That type of detail is very helpful to help try to pinpoint the potential scam.
And my assumption is that LG&E works very closely with law enforcement to help resolve these issues.
We do. We work year-round with local law enforcement across our service territory. We also work year-round to share tips, like we are today, with our customers of ways to identify potential scams and how to avoid them.
Now, I'm assuming there's probably not any particular time of the year that scams are up or down, but is there anything that we could look for in that area?
You know, unfortunately, the scam attempts continue to evolve. We do sometimes see upticks in a certain area. Sometimes there may be an uptick in scam reports geared toward a business customer. So we do monitor the scam attempts and customers who contact us to report that information. But unfortunately, it's continually evolving, which is why we want to make sure we're making these tips top of mind for our customers.
Okay, so final thoughts. Is there anything else out there that we're missing?
You know, just to be mindful and be vigilant. Just feel confident in knowing that we will never contact you and demand immediate payment or threaten a disconnection of service without that.
Okay. And finally, if people want to find out more information, how do they get in touch with you, not only about scams, but just information in general?
Yeah. For more information or to review our scam tips and more helpful safety information, you can always visit our website at lge-ku.com, or you can give us a call at 502-589-1444.
And you know, you can see what's happening out there and why LG&E is just really being very, just on top of things, to really trying to educate the public so you don't fall victim and prey to some of these scams that are out there.
Main word for me, educate,
Yeah.
because there's information that's vital that a lot of people don't know, so hopefully this information helped you greatly.
That's right, and we can never have too much information.
That's right. When we know better, we can do better.
That is correct. We'll take another break and back with more right after this.
Hi, I'm Tendra Osborne, the One Water Customer Care Manager. I currently operate both the MSD and Louisville Water call centers, supervising the staff with the day-to-day operations. I've been in this position for about 8 months now. With the company, I've been here 6 years. The work environment, everybody is fun and energetic. We're all like a family here. As far as the work, we enjoy working with people within the community. Also internally, we just love face-to-face customer service, as well as internally in the call center. Myself, I've held 3 positions within the company, so there's always room for growth. I do get a lot, how are you a customer care manager dealing with the irate callers and the things of that nature? How can you do that type of work? And I tell them we receive more good calls than we do bad calls, I should say. So that is the biggest question that I get. When we get that customer that's totally happy and appreciate the service they receive, we enjoy getting the kudos, the pat on the back. We send that information out to the department to kind of like a recognition for the department. So we do enjoy receiving the pats on the back and getting the warm and fuzzies when customers are appreciating our service. Actually, I've tried many different states, their water, and Louisville is always the best. I would have to say Louisville Water, the best pure tap in the United States.
Everybody's getting into biking, and I never got out of it, but now it's like the really cool thing to do now is to bike. So
it is so widespread.
It is.
Seriously, yeah.
We got you a bike. Now we've got to do that other part, which is get you on the bike
I
a
know
little
you're
bit
gonna
more.
try to be funny. I do get on the bike, just not as much as you do.
A little more frequently. Well, that being said, we got an opportunity to go out to Middletown Cyclery, and we talked to the owner out there, Ross, and he was saying some things that you really need to do to get your bike ready for this summer. So take a look at this piece. Well, it's summertime, and what many of us are beginning to do is get our bikes out. So you're taking off that winter rust and you want to get out on your bikes, but don't make that mistake by just jumping on your bike and starting to ride it. What you need to do is to get out and take your bike in and have it serviced just like you would with your car. I'm here at Middletown Cyclery. I'm here with Russ, who is the owner. And of course, we did a lot last year getting people prepped for bikes, and we're back this year. So tell us what we need to do to get started.
Well, if you were wanting to do it yourself, there's a few things you'd want to check out. First of all, when tires sit for a long period of time, they're going to lose air. The recommended PSI will be on the side of your tire, so if you have an air compressor or a nice pump like that, you're going to want to get those where they need to be. A lot of times you're going to want to lubricate your chain from it's been sitting. One of the most important parts about lubricating your chain is to clean it off really well prior to the lubrication. And then after you lubricate it, you're going to want to wipe it off again as well. I'll tend to kind of move the rag around a little bit because you'll notice it kind of really builds up. So I feel like you want to get it as clean as you possibly can. I'm kind of a fan of this lubricant with the wax in it. It coats it a little bit more and it kind of lasts. If you're anything like me, you're not really big into, you'd rather be riding your bike than playing with the lube and stuff. So that way, you just want a thin film of lubricant. If there's too much, it will actually attract more dirt and can damage the chain further and just looks gross. Other than that, I think a basic safety inspection of a bike, make sure your wheels are secure. There's no play in the bearing side to side. Run it through the gears. So like, for example, this bike right now needs a front derailleur adjustment because in this gear it's rubbing. So if you knew how to do that, you could do it. But
so you're dropping some technical terms. So some of these things that you're talking about, is this something that you can do at home yourself, or are you really better suited to bring it in and really having a professional inspection?
I think if you have an issue, you're probably going to want to bring it in. I think you can, if your bike is perfect and safe, and I'll show you how to check that. But when you really get into the derailleurs and stuff, a lot of times you can actually do more harm than good when you start fiddling with it. So, especially on a nicer bike, they're very good quality, have high-end parts, and it's just worth taking the right amount of care of it.
And when you're talking about adding the lubricant, is this something that you do at the first of the summer, or is it something that you do periodically during the course of riding?
Something you do periodically over the course of riding. I think when you're getting your bike out and it's been sitting for a long time, it'll be an opportunity to kind of check that out and make sure everything's clean and lubricated. And then, as far as the derailleurs and stuff, unless you really have an intimate knowledge of how to do that, you probably shouldn't. But other things that you can do as well, just make sure all the bolts are tight. Okay. Get some nice weight here on the handlebars. Mm-hmm. Last thing you want to do is have the wheel turn on you or something like that. So just make sure that the tires are aired up, chains lubed, and everything's tight. And if you got an issue, we're happy to help. We quick repair turnarounds and a lot of even simple things like, and if this is called your front derailleur, shifts the gear on the front. This is your rear shifts. If you just needed a basic derailleur adjustment, we can typically even do that while you wait. So,
something else you talked about was the PSI, and I know it's important to keep the right amount of air pressure. But if you don't, what are some of the problems that someone can experience for the novice and casual rider?
Well, if your PSI is too low, you can actually get pinch flat. So what will happen, the tire and the wheel will meet in the middle and puncture your tube. So that's no good for a variety of reasons. You're stuck out there, while you're riding, so that's no fun. And then, it's just a big pain, and it can ruin your nice cycling day. So keep the tires pumped up for sure.
Some of that information he gave you is very common sense things that we need to know because, like with your cars, if you don't keep proper maintenance up on it, it's going to come back to bite you. And I have to admit, I'm guilty myself. Just take the bike down off the rack, put air in the tire, and go out and start riding. I'm not oiling, I'm not checking, I'm not doing the things that I should do.
It's not like when we were young, you just whipped the bike out and just rode on it, because now cycling is at a higher level.
Right, and the bikes are very expensive, and you want to make sure that you're taking care of them. Yeah. So Ross, thanks for that information, and we'll be bringing you some other tips from Middletown Cyclery throughout the summer and also throughout the fall. Something else, speaking of tips, someone that we work with on a monthly basis now is Ivy Brito with State Farm Insurance. So Ivy, what do you have for us this week?
Hi, I'm Ivy Brito with State Farm Insurance. Today's segment, we're going to be talking about permanent life insurance. And as you can see, I'm sitting at the kitchen table where most life insurance conversations are held. Remember when we were growing up and the insurance man came to the door and All that we knew was we gave them a monthly premium, somebody passed away, and then they gave us a check to help with the final expenses. Well, it's only in recent years that permanent life insurance has been thought of as an asset. And what I mean by that is permanent life insurance builds cash value as you pay your monthly premiums. It's not going to grow overnight, but the premiums are fixed, and the policy stays in force for as long as you live, as long, again, as you pay the premiums. So what are some of the advantages of this cash value that's inside this policy? Let's take a look at some of the things that you can do. Many people will use it. They can take out a loan, and that loan does not have any scheduled payments, so it's a lot more flexible than an installment loan that you might get from a bank. But many people can use the cash value inside of that policy for purchases. If you want to purchase a car, if you want to purchase some appliances at your home, if you need to do any home improvements, those are things that are often easy to do. Business owners may use it for any capital improvement needs that they may have. And again, you don't have to go to a bank to get qualified for credit. You go to your insurance agent and they can help you get a check for the cash value that's in that policy. Permanent life insurance is more expensive than term life insurance. Term is for a specific need and period of time. So permanent life insurance, because of the feature that's inside that policy, will allow you to have more flexibility in terms of the living benefits. If you haven't sat down with an insurance professional, please do so that you can get a better idea of the costs. They'll work with you on how to go about establishing how much you should use. And it's also based on not only your age, but also your health condition. So again, if you haven't sat down with the insurance professional, if you need more information on how to take advantage of this awesome benefit of the cash value of permanent policies, call your insurance company today. Max and Denise, back to you.
You know, something else that's coming up is, of course, as we close out the show today, it's the Derby City Jazz Festival. And we'll be back for our 4th year on August 10th and 11th. And we're at Iroquois Amphitheater. And we're starting on that Saturday morning of the 10th with Fabulous and Fit After 50.
Yeah.
You're hosting along with Ann Bowden. We've got Donna Richardson in town.
And other
panelists. So it's going to be a great time.
For women who are fabulous and 50, or you're about to be, or you know somebody, or you're on your way to knowing other people, you want to come out for this, because this is about being fit, not just physically, but it's mentally, emotionally, relationally, in your career and going forward in life. You don't want to miss this.
That is correct. Well, you know what? I think that's our show.
Ooh, that's our time.
And we're going to leave you with some of the artists that are going to be coming for this year's Derby City Jazz Festival.
Derby City Jazz Festival is when?
August 10th and 11th at Iroquois Park. Is
you
that
got
good?
It right. Yeah, you got it right.
All right.
A Saturday and a Sunday.
That is correct. So again, that's our show.
That's our time.
We'll see you back here next time on Urban Lifestyles. Bye-bye.